My name is Emanuel Neubauer. My first name is Emanuel, last name is Neubauer. And I also have I also use my wife's name from time to time as I only know this in Japanese, Tsushouとして I use Katsushima. My wife is Japanese. And I'm from Germany, Berlin. I'm 32 years old now. And I studied Japanese studies at the Free University of Berlin. And I work and live here in Niseco for 6 years now as a coordinator for international relations. Yeah, my hairstyle changes a lot. I actually nowadays I prefer to have short hair, very short hair, almost bozu, right? But because I am also in the process of job hunting and I need to conduct job interviews now, and I think employers like longer hair a little bit more than bozu. Yeah, when they see someone with a very short hair, they think I'm playing Yakyu all the day, but no. I'm not Yakyu bozu. First of all, after I graduated from high school, I went to Japan soon afterwards, and I worked in Japan for 1 year. Actually, it was not really working. It was I did social working in Japan for 1 year. I worked in a senior retirement home for elderly people. 老人ホームですね. And so I worked there as a volunteer for 1 year because at that time we had to go to the military in Germany. Usually at the age of 18, usually you need to go to the military for 1 year, but you can instead of going to the military, you can do 1 year of social working. So you can be a volunteer for 1 year, for humanitarian institutions or something like that. So that's why I went to Japan to work in a humanitarian facility, which was a retirement home. And then afterwards, I went back to Germany. After that, there was 2010. In 2010, I came back to Germany and I intended to study art. I wanted to study art, yes. To be precise, I wanted to study design. And so I prepared 1 year for the application process. You need to draw a lot and design many things, and then you get like a homework, and you need to draw something for the homework and make sculptures and so on. But long story short, I didn't get into the art university. I was declined. My art sense is not good enough apparently. So then I was thinking, what can I do instead of art university? And I went to Japan already for 1 year, worked in Japan. And I also studied Japanese as my second foreign language since middle school. So from middle school to high school, I studied Japanese as my second foreign language. So I thought, yes, let's go on and study Japanese. So that's why I enrolled to the University for Japanese Studies. I got in. And then I studied Japanese and until 2015. I graduated in December 2015, and in 2016 I entered the JET program as a coordinator for international relations, and that's what I did until now. Yes. So, but in between, when I went to, for example, I don't think this is really of importance, but I always worked, even in between when I was going to the university. So I did part-time jobs. The whole period of the university, I worked at one company, a big supermarket, to earn the money for my tuition for the college fees. So I paid this all on my own. This was real. In Germany, going to the university is not that expensive. It's free for the most part. So you can actually afford going to the university when you're just working part-time and your parents don't have to pay anything, which is really nice. Yeah, so I always worked at the supermarket, or I even worked at McDonald's at some time, and a donut shop. Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah. So now I'm here. 当時、私が高校卒業した時には2009年ですね。で、当時、まだ徴兵制度があったんですね、ドイツに。いわば、普段なら軍隊に行かざるを得ないのですが、その軍隊に行くのを拒否して、その代わりに1年間、福祉活動を行える選択肢もありますね。で、それを選んで、軍隊に行かず、1年間福祉活動を行いました。で、それを普段はドイツでしないといけないのですが、ちょっと工夫すれば海外でもその福祉活動を1年間できます。それで兵庫県にあった老人ホームで1年間ボランティアとして福祉活動を行いました。ですね、例えば一番的なのが、イタリアもありましたし、イタリアにも行けたし、イスラエルにも行けたし、オーストリアじゃなくてオーストラリアね。オーストラリア多いんですし、各国に行けますね。You can go to many different countries, yes. But usually 一般的はやはり国内で福祉活動を行うのが一般的なのですが、その派遣会社というのが派遣 NPO というのがありまして、その派遣 NPO に応募して、で、合格すれば、日本とかイスラエルとかにも派遣される可能性はあります。なんか日本にそういう制度がないからちょっと理解しにくいかなとは思います。徴兵制度は今はもうないんですので、今はだいたいみんな直接大学に行きますが、私の時にはまだ徴兵制度がありました。Yeah, it's one gap year, right? Gap year 今よく日本にもこれからこの gap year という表現はだんだん注目が浴びるようになると思いますが、はい、海外は結構よくあることだと思いますね。まずは1年間ギャップイヤーを取るんですね。その徴兵制度がまだあった時にはそもそもしないと、ギャップイヤー取らないといけなかったんですね。やむを得ず。でも今でもギャップイヤーを取る高校卒業生が多いと思いますね。当時は義務でした。今はもう義務ではないのですが、取る人はそれでもまだ、はい。Yeah, it's a very difficult process. First of all, I was told you need to go to the army. And I said, I don't want to go to the army. Then I need to write an essay why I don't want to go to the army. Because my grandfather killed people. I don't want to kill people, blah, blah, blah. And then they assess my essay and they say, okay, that's a good reason. Then you can apply for social working. And once you get the okay that you can do social working, then you need to find a place where you can work. So usually you just go around your town and go, for example, go to a local retirement home or kindergarten, and you ask the kindergarten directly, excuse me, can I maybe work here for 1 year as a volunteer? And then they say yes, no, back and forth. Or if you want to work abroad in another country, you have to go to a non-profit organization, NPO, and who organize people who want to do social working or volunteer working abroad, and there's one such an MPO in Berlin. I'm from Berlin, and it's called the Japan and German Peace Forum. I think that's what it's called. That's the name of the organization. And then you apply to them. You apply for a volunteer position abroad. Then you need to go to them and you conduct an interview, and they will ask you, why do you want to do this, and where do you want to work? Do you want to work in a kindergarten and in a retirement home, or in a facility with people with mental disabilities? And then they assess you and look at like your grades, your school grades, and so on. And yeah, I was lucky. I passed the test after I was put on a waiting list. And once you get the okay, then you need to I had to collect I needed like 2,000 euros in advance to be able to go to Japan for just all my daily expenses, to be able to pay my bills in Japan, and to be able to buy food. And that was the process. But it was not a website. You need to Google online, find an MPO, or find like a company that will send you abroad. And once you find the MPO, they will do the rest of the work. They know already retirement homes in Japan. They know kindergartens in Japan. Actually, I'm in Niseko, and do you know Kuchancho?
Yes, I know.
Yeah, it's directly next to Niseko. There's a kindergarten that is part of the program I was in. There each year it's the Kuchan Nantoka Kindergarten. One German volunteer is working there. I was tested how good my Japanese level is beforehand, but I studied Japanese in junior high school and high school as my second foreign language, so I had like some knowledge of Japanese beforehand, and so I guess that helped me to apply. But nobody understands. Nobody understood English in that facility, so I had to speak Japanese all the time. It was good. It was good. I mean, think about yourself. For example, how good was your English when you graduated high school? どうでしたか、英語話せました？ It was really difficult, right? Yeah. So I had knowledge of Japanese, and I like to talk. Grammar is bad. My Japanese grammar is still not very good, and but I am just talking. I don't think too much, and that helps. I'm talkative, so so even if I make a lot of mistakes, I just try to talk as much as I can. So, and even if I do many mistakes, usually the elderly, they don't care. As long as I can talk, and gohan, tabemasu, tabemasu. So that's usually enough already, and then you get better the more you talk, right? Yeah. It was really tough. First of all, there's the culture shock. Culture shock, right? At the beginning, you don't think about this. At the beginning, you're excited. I wanted to go to Japan. I went to Japan twice before that, because my school is offering Japanese as a second foreign language. My school is always conducting Japan school trips, every second or every third year. And so my school was Chuko Ikanko, so it was junior and high school together. So I was able to go to Japan twice. So I was already, Japan is great, it's fun. I want to go and work. So that was my idea. And then I was in Hyogo and it was exciting. But then after 2 months or so, I was like, oh, okay, this is quite hard. Because I was in, do you know Hyogo-ken?
I know.
Like, have you ever been to Hyogo-ken?
No, I never been to there.
Yeah, it's really, I was really, it was a countryside location. Like this, it was a very small town. And even though the town was very small already, it had a train station, but I needed to walk 50 minutes to the train station. And the retirement home was located like really in between 2 mountains, and I had to walk. If I wanted to go to Kobe or maybe Himeji, which are bigger cities, I had to walk 50 minutes like down first to the train station, and then 2 hours by train to Kobe or so. So it was really tough. And to make matters worse, my apartment was directly next to the retirement home. So if I want to go to work, it only took me 1 minute. I need to walk 1 minute to go to work. So it was just like working or sleeping in your apartment. 2 options, like working or go home and sleep. And that was hard. I tried to go jogging. I did exercise, but so the social working started in, I think it was September, or maybe August or September. I'm not sure. I think September. So they're like, it's still warm, but it gets cold soon afterwards. And once it's December, it's really cold and it's dark all the time, and you can't go anywhere. I have no car. I had a tiny bicycle, a very small bicycle. You don't know this, but I'm almost 2 meters tall. 私身長は198センチですね。ママチャリがあったんですけど、本当にもう子供用のママチャリ。So I had like this small bicycle for kids, and when I was riding the bicycle, I was hit my knee on the handle because it was so small. Yeah, it was tough, but still fun. Yeah, so that was my experience. Work was fun. I liked working with my Japanese colleagues. I liked working together and helping and assisting all the elderly. And I think I had a really good connection with everyone. So that's why I enjoyed it. But it was tough because it was just it was so too much on the countryside, and that made things difficult, and I had no car. I had one colleague. So we were 2 actually. There were 2. The whole program had about 25 Germans that went to Japan and worked at different locations. So in Kuchan is one location. We have 3 locations in Hokkaido. One is Kuchan, one is Sapporo, and another one was Hakkenzan. It's close to Sapporo, I think. But only the kindergarten is still available, I think. The others stopped working in the program, and we had a few in Tokyo, we had a few in Osaka, and Hiroshima as well, Nagasaki, and one in Hyogo is the one I went to. And for the Hyogo position, we had 2 Germans, me and another guy called Niels. But the problem was Niels and we had a difficult relationship. We didn't like each other too much. So I was okay working in the countryside, but Niels hated it. He wanted to go to the city. So he was always arguing with how to say it, Encho, with the manager of the facility, to send us to another facility, and for example Kobe. It's a big company. The company is called Kirakuen, and we were working at the Ikuno Kirakuen retirement home, but they have retirement homes in Kobe as well. Niels was always arguing with the manager to send us to Kobe because he wanted to live in a city, not in Inaka. So it made things really difficult, and he was always complaining. And he went to Kobe and Osaka every weekend to go party. He went to Namba and so on, and he had quite a lot of money, and I had not that much money. I needed to save money because I promised my friend who worked in Sapporo that he and another friend of mine was in the program as well, but in Sapporo, so we couldn't do much together. But I promised him that at the end of this program, we will travel through Japan for 2 weeks. So, but for that purpose, I had to save all my money for that 2 weeks trip we are going to make at the end of the program. And yeah, so Niels and we had different views on what to do and how to work on the countryside. Yeah, so that makes things even more difficult, maybe. I wanted to go to the city too, but I didn't want to argue with the manager of the retirement home about this all the time. Yeah. Oh, also, and what also was difficult was we were told not to have girlfriends. That was kind of weird as well. The manager told us we were not supposed to have girlfriends, Japanese girlfriends, because that could make things difficult. And there was pressure as well. And also at the end, Niels and we had a girlfriend, and then the manager was like, well, I told you not to have girlfriends. I was sorry. We're just humans. Yeah. And by the way, the girlfriend I had from that time is now my wife, and we have 2 kids. So I don't regret having her as getting her as my girlfriend. Actually, I'm finished with cities. Maybe yes, but I still like cities. I love going to the cinema, and but we have 2 kids now, you see, and I think the countryside is really good for kids. Actually, they can go outside and play and just enjoy nature. And if you're living in a city, I think you're missing out on something. Yeah, at least for the kids. And maybe when the kids are older, of course, they want to move to the city, and then we can go to the bigger city again. But I think it would be nice to stay more on the countryside now. Yeah, first of all, I want to stay in Japan. That's number one. I want to stay in Japan with my family, and preferably somewhere more on the countryside. Yeah, I'm interested in coding and programming, and I would like to go more and more in this direction. So yeah, those are my ideas, and so just really no really big dreams now, but just the general direction would be stay in Japan, and maybe work somewhere that is more more on the countryside, and and try to develop more skills in the direction of tech or IT. Just Japanese, just Bachelor of Arts. It's a Bachelor of Arts, Japanese Studies. So it's usually a Bachelor of Arts or Bachelor of Science, right? And all the cultural things are usually Bachelor of Arts. So that includes literature or history. It's all Bachelor of Arts. And everything that's math and physics and so on, that's all science. Yeah, but so it's Japanese studies. I majored in Japanese studies. All connected to Japanese, but yeah, there's usually it's a lot of literature and history, and obviously the language. Yeah. When I was still in high school, my dream was usually to be a game designer. That was my dream in high school because I liked art and I loved playing games, video games. And so my dream at that time was to work for a Japanese game company. But there was one problem with it that I realized quickly. So if you want to study game design in I think in any country, those are all private universities or private senmongakko or private universities, and they're really expensive. And they're expensive, and you don't need to graduate from high school to enter them. We have a weird system in Germany, for example. We don't have usually we don't have Nyugaku shiken. So there are no exams to enter university. You apply with your A level, with your grades from high school, and the university will check how good you did in high school. And if you did good enough, then you can enter. If you didn't do well enough in high school, then you have to wait, for example, 3 to 4 to 5 years to be able to enter. Especially if you apply for a subject that's in high demand, then you need to wait quite long. For example, if you want to apply for medicine and your grades in high school are really bad, then you usually need to wait 10 years to be able to apply to start studying medicine in Germany. So, but it is possible. So you can apply even if you didn't do very well in school. You can apply for medicine at the university, and you just need to wait. And in the meantime that you are waiting, you could, for example, work already in a hospital as a nurse. And if you have experience working as a nurse or something similar, the time you need to study, I think, medicine and university will shorten, and you can finish, for example, medicine quicker. And what was your question in the first place? Sorry, I think I forgot. My dream, yeah. So my dream was to study be a game designer. So because it's all private, I would need to pay a lot of money for studying it. And I didn't want to ask my parents to give me that money. I have a big brother and a big sister, an elder brother and an elder sister, and so I'm the last of a siblings of 3. And I didn't want to ask my parents to pay for that private school, and so I decided not to study game design. Actually, I wanted to. Afterwards, I thought, okay, I don't do game design. Then I try art, but art didn't work. And so then I was like, okay, maybe if art doesn't work, then I just go with Japanese. I did this quite long already, and yeah. So that was the route. Game design, too expensive. Art didn't work, and then okay, Japanese. Let's just do it. So my dream in university was actually just once I finished, I want to work in Japan. So that was the baseline. I just want to start working in Japan and see how it is working in Japan. So that was the idea. For example, it could be that oh yeah, it's my dream to work in Japan, and then I start working in Japan, and I realize, oh, it's not what I want. Maybe the work culture in Japan is not for me, and so the idea was first of all to work in Japan, and since I studied Japanese, it only makes sense to go to Japan and keep on speaking Japanese. Otherwise, if I stay in Germany, it's likely that my Japanese will get worse by time.
Yeah.
So in university, it was absolutely my goal to, whatever the case, first of all, go to Japan and try to work in Japan, and from there see how the working experience is in Japan, and from then I can go on deciding whether I want to stay or want to go back to Germany. And maybe this will be a follow-up question, like now working in Japan, how was it, and what's your idea now? So the thing is, in the JET program is not really strict in terms of the work culture. It's a really nice work culture, so we don't have to work too long and so on, but I still think it's not the real Japanese work experience. So the next thing would be to work at a real Japanese company and then see how the experience is working in a real Japanese company. And from then on, again, decide, okay, do I want to do this, or should I maybe go back to Germany and do something else in Germany? I think that's different for everyone. Right now, I think I'm in a position that's not normal for most people, because mostly when you work abroad, you're working alone, right? So I'm sure when you start working abroad at another company, for example, in the US, or if you go to Europe and Germany or UK, it's likely that you will be alone, right? So, but in my case, when I came to Japan for the JET program, I married soon afterwards. So just a few months after I came to Japan with the JET program, I married, and then the next year we had our first child already. So when I have trouble at work, I can always come home and talk with my wife about it, and that helps a lot. So, but when you're alone, for example, when I was doing my social working, it helped a lot to talk to friends when I have difficulties. As I was lucky because a very good friend of mine was working in Sapporo in the same program, and I could talk to him every now and then about difficulties, and all with my family at home, and that helps. But I also think sometimes maybe writing in a diary helps as well. Oh yeah, exercise. That helped me a lot when I was in Hyogo-ken. Exercise, go outside and go jogging. That helped me. That saved me, I think, in Inaka. Maybe sometimes, at least in my opinion, the thought that you have trouble right now, but it will be over soon. For example, usually when I was in Hyogo-ken, I knew that this social working, it's only 1 year. So there's a beginning and an end. So even if I'm in the middle of it and I have trouble right now, there will be an end of it. So I know that this is only a short time period, and there will come an end to it, even if I'm in a difficult situation at this point. Knowing that the situation will end at some point is also very helpful, in my opinion. Sometimes you think like, oh, oh my God, this is the worst right now. Like it's going to be this forever. But yeah, that's not the case. Usually, it's just a period. So you're in a bad situation right now, but knowing that, whatever comes, there's an end to, the trouble you're in right now. That helps a lot, I think. I think it's always difficult. I think this is especially difficult because it's something that has to do with culture. It's not just something with grammar per se. It's something more rooted in culture as well. For example, I have so much trouble talking to younger people. I know they are younger than me. I know I am older than they are. And for example, talking to kids, I'm never sure if I should say kun or chan, or like it feels so weird to me to be thinking about how to address a person. If it's just everyone is just son, it's okay, no problem. I can put son at everyone. But then I meet a younger person and then I'm like, 日本人ならこのね、男の子にきっとくんつけるだろう。でも私はこの感覚はちょっと欠けているなと思いますね。Why should I call someone kun now? When can I call him kun, or when can I call her chan? Would it be weird for me as a foreigner to calling a girl chan, or calling a boy kun? I don't know. It's difficult for me. And then maybe they are angry afterwards. I'm not kun. I'm not chan. If I meet someone the first time, I assume I should use son. But if he's younger than me, for example, I'm 32 now, and if I meet someone who is maybe 25, he's younger than me. So I think I could use kun, but it's like, I don't know. Feels strange. Maybe he's like, maybe he doesn't want me to be too close. Then in other countries, in other languages, you don't need to think that much about how to address your opponent, the person you're speaking to. But yeah, it's difficult for foreigners, yeah. Definitely. It's something very very nice about working. For example, if you work in Germany, usually it's easier to address, for example, the manager. It's you can talk to your manager just like you would talk to any other person. You don't have to think about like, like being overly polite, or you don't need to think about how much you can criticize. It's okay to criticize your manager as well, I think, and important, in my opinion. It must be important to be allowed to criticize your manager, so he knows that, for example, there's a problem here. And if all your employees are not talking about problems or are afraid to talk to the manager about problems, then the manager doesn't know how to improve. For example, the company structure or personal structure. I'm working, for example, the other CIRs you interviewed already work at inside the Niseko town hall. So the Niseko town hall is very, I would say, more traditional, structured. It's like local government, so it's clearly structured. But I'm situated in the Niseko Resort Tourist Association at the moment, and so it's more like an open structure. So it's easier to address your thoughts to the manager, for example.
Yes.
And it happens actually quite often. So if you have like any thoughts, you can go to the Jimkyokcho and tell him directly. But there's also actually sometimes people fight quite often as well. So yeah, so that's a problem maybe as well, because we have secondments, shukosha. We have two shukosha. Is it called shukosha? Yeah, right. Yeah. For example, who are not working. We have two people they don't work for the Niseko Resort Tourist Association. Originally, they work for JTB and Nihon Ryoko, and they're just working they have a 2-year contract to work at the Niseko Resort Tourist Association.
Yes.
So I think that's why it's like really like open, because they need to go after 3 years back to JTB or back to Nihon Ryoko. It's very interesting. It's an interesting work environment, because they need to go back to their companies they're from originally. That's why I think it's easier to like talk to them in the first place, because they're not like obligated to stay and work for Niseko Resort Tourist Association. So it's easier to like criticize something that's not good in Niseko Resort Tourist Association, because it's not their company. For example, Jim Kyok-cho's company is JTB. So if there's a problem in Niseko Resort Tourist Association, then you can just say it, because it's not his company. He's working for JTB, so he's like, yeah, it's true. Like in JTB, we do it this way. And then, for example, the managers like from Nihon Ryoko, and you say like, oh, we have a problem here in Niseko Resort Tourist Association, and then she's, yeah, that's true, right? That's a problem. Like in Nihon Ryoko, we do it this way. So then, but then you have Nihon Ryoko and they have JTB, and then they're like, oh, we do it this way in Nihon Ryoko, but we do it this way in JTB. Then they're like, discussing and try to find like common ground. But yeah, it's a different work environment, for example, to the Niseko Town Hall. If Kacho says we do it this way, then we do it this way. But if then Chocho says, Kacho, no, we don't do it this way, we do it this way, then Kacho's like, okay. we do it as the mayor says. So the very last word always Nenko Joretsu. The mayor has the last word, and when the mayor says we do it this way, then Kacho, Bucho, Kakaricho, they all say, okay, we do it like the mayor says. Yeah. It's very, very traditional Japanese. For example, when I was working in a retirement home, I thought I had a very good connection with the elderly, and sometimes I was like, maybe I was talking to them, I was playing with them. I also played tricks on them, and at some point I went too far. For example, there was one elderly who had like he had a hat, like a winter cap, and I pulled the cap over his eyes like two times, and it was funny, it was a lot of fun, and we had a good connection, so I thought it was okay. But I did it like 4 times, and then he got really angry, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, okay. So that was a mistake, but it was afterwards was all okay again. So yes, I had to learn, like, sometimes I need to keep my distance as well. And yeah, in Niseko, for example, if you plan events and so on, often the events you plan, the intercultural events, don't turn out the way you want them to, and people are not coming, or there are not as many people coming as you expected, and that could be counted as a failure, but it's okay. It's good to do failures, so you know how to improve. and you need to look at what you did wrong and then see how you can improve on it. So yeah. I don't know if this is a very popular opinion, especially in Japan, but I talked about this with you earlier already. That maybe I would recommend doing a gap year after you graduated. Not just apply directly to a new company and try to just go into work immediately after university, because even though you have it looks really good on your record, of course. You graduated high school, you went to university immediately, and you're still very young, and you joined the workforce immediately afterwards. But maybe you lose the opportunity to see the world. Like once you're in the process of working, you may get used to only work and never see the opportunity to go outside, go out of Japan and do something else. And I think having a gap year is very good. It's a very good opportunity to see the world and also see if working abroad is even like for you. Like maybe you go abroad and you realize, oh, I don't like this at all. And or maybe you go abroad and you have those high expectations that you're going to do very well, but maybe your English is not good enough yet, and then you enter a company abroad and your English is not good enough, and it's just a really awful experience at the beginning, and it might be better for you to just go like abroad with a working holiday visa and maybe meet other people, have a soft culture shock in the beginning to see like, oh, okay, this is how another country feels like, and but also have fun doing it, and have fun talking to people, have fun communicating with people. And by doing so, you for example, if you go to the UK or you go to Australia or you go to the US, your English will get better as well. And yeah, I think that's something all students may take a look at and think about. And then you come back after 1 year, or you just stay, for example, in the UK. If you have, or US, if you have like a working travel visa, you can work for 1 year already. And then when you're working in different places, maybe you can apply to a company directly. And since you're already there, since you have a working holiday visa already, it's much easier to apply, I think. And when you're able to speak, when you're able to talk English fluently already, you have a big advantage to other students that just apply from Japan directly out of university and yeah, have no real work experience yet. That would be my advice. Yeah, but I think it's maybe difficult for many Japanese students because you have this maybe you have this urge, you need to apply for a job soon after you graduate from university, because right, everyone does it. That's a very common Japanese idea, I think. みんながやるから私もやらないと。みんながもう応募してるから私も応募しないと。You could also, like, I'm sure many people argue that doing a gap year might be a disadvantage because you're 1 year older and going out of graduating from university and being fresh and going fresh into a job immediately might be of an advantage to many people. But I think especially in companies abroad, companies often want employees who do something that is not normal, something that is out of the norm. And if you as a Japanese person did something that no other person did, or almost no other person did, then they're like, oh, this guy is different. Okay, this might be interesting. Because if everyone just thinks the same way, you won't be able to adapt to new challenges, right?
Yeah.
If everyone is just all the same, like something new approaches, then you're like, what can we do now? But if you have someone who's like doing this, or have different ideas, and a new challenge approaches something you have never encountered before, those people who have done different things in the past can be of great value for a company as well, in my opinion. And I'm sure companies are looking for people who can adapt to different challenges. And doing a gap year, doing something else, can be in that sense be an advantage, because you show already that you did something that most Japanese students wouldn't do.